Dragonflight Season 1 brings a new rotation of Mythic Plus dungeons, and today I'd like to offer my beginner tanks this nice and easy walkthrough and tanking guide for the Halls of Valor Mythic Plus dungeon. Halls of Valor dungeon is located in Stormheim zone of the Broken Isles that you get to by taking a portal to Dalaran from Valdrakken and then flying over. It is a relatively long dungeon with 5 bosses, a very nice actually place with Nordic Viking aesthetics, dialogue and scenery shining through, so enjoy your run. As you enter the dungeon, it's a pretty straightforward way towards the main dining hall, straight ahead, but before you enter you need to pull a few trash groups and fight the first boss in your way, Hymdall. I've always liked Hymdall, actually. I think he's a cool old dude, and he just guards the entrance and tells the real rubble that can't beat him to go away. I reckon that's how every house party should start, but what would I know? I'm not a Viking. Hymdall is very straightforward, just watch out for occasionally spawning lightning swirlies and the drakes that he summons on the sides of the pathway that you're on that will kind of charge and fly over and leave a lightning charged field underneath that you should obviously avoid. That's the main stuff. Once Hymdall is down, you are approaching the main trash clearing area, the dining hall that stretches left and right. Good news is that you don't need to clear all of the trash, fortunately, so just be smart about your pulls. I use line of sight pretty much every time when I pull trash, and especially in the tight spots like this one. Get out one group at a time, not forgetting that it's a Mythic Plus dungeon, and you're probably not overgearing this content, so expect to be hit hard as a tank. The central kind of trio of big dudes standing there in the middle of the hall needs to be pulled carefully because the caster guy will not respond to your line of sight breaking and he will not charge to you. You will have to get to him and therefore be very careful not to pull the 2 big guards that we will leave till a bit later. Yes, you can also kind of pull this trio later, as you will be pulling the guards later, but in the end you will have to kill them anyway, so I personally clear these straight away while we are stopping kind of here in the dining hall area. So I go left first, along the left wall, being very careful not to pull the right hand side, obviously. This will lead us to the second boss area where Hyrja, or however Hyrja, is being ascended into the ranks of Valajar, which we are obviously going to rudely interfere with. The encounter starts by pulling and killing 2 dudes on the sides of the platform. Those dudes are empowering Hyrja with the powers of fire and lightning. I take the left mini-boss first, hide in his bubble from the lightning storm he summons and try not to die. Once he goes down, you do the same thing with the right-hand guy, trying to avoid his, I'm gonna call it a barrage of swirly fires on the ground that he summons. They do low damage, relatively low damage, but they're very, very hard to avoid. Once the boss Hyrja comes down, the spirits of those dudes will continue to empower her. So basically, and typically we do pull her to one side first, starting with the left storm side first again, and then pulling her to the right hand side. The additional mechanics there, she just hits you hard, charges occasionally, and does a lot of damage, but at the same time the mechanics are very similar to fighting the mini bosses. That's about it, at least before any higher Mythic Plus key mechanics kick in, which are beyond the scope of this beginner tank introduction to the Halls of Valor. Your way to the third boss Fenryr lies back through the dining hall. Once again, obviously you're sticking to the wall and trying not to pull more than you need to, clearing your way to the far end of the hall and entering the portal there once you reach it. This is a foresty area where the wolf god, is he a god? Fenryr is, and Odyn wants you to hunt Fenryr to prove your worth. Whatever, man. You go right in that area first, not left. Look at your map, especially if you're there for the first time, avoiding as much trash as possible, as those beasts roaming the area hit harder than you think they would. Fenryr is in the little decimated hunting camp, or at the very least something that looks like it. You start tanking him there, and as a tank that's kinda about all you do, while he will periodically leap to random DPS targets and hit them hard, but it's kinda not something that you can prevent, so it is not your problem. Once Fenryr is damaged enough, possibly to 50% of his health, he will run away, kind of disappear from sight. And you will need to go now to the far left and sort of bottom side of the area, if you look again on your map, where Fenryr's lair or a cave is. This area is full of wolf packs, and those will absolutely trash your group if you pull more than one at a time, and if you're not overgearing this Mythic Plus key massively. So be careful is all I can recommend here. You fight Fenryr again, kill him, and retrace your steps carefully back to where you came from as you entered the zone. Through the portal, back through the dining hall, to the central area, where we specifically left those two big gods standing by the doorway leading to the bridge that will take you then to the final boss area. Before you fight the fourth boss, you need to enter the area and talk to and defeat all of the older kind of prior kings of Valajar that are standing there around the room, kind of in a semicircle. They hit relatively hard, but not very tricky as mobs, with the only trick being there that the last two ones standing on the right hand side of the hall, they will fight you at the same time, not one by one, which might make it a tiny bit more demanding from you as a tank. But and I can't remember if one of those kings will also summon, like who exactly, but they will summon a slow-moving ad who will try and reach either you or the king he's supporting, most likely. So you just need to back away as you tank the king, so that the ad doesn't reach him and doesn't make things worse for you. The fourth boss then, once those kings are down, is God King Skovald, who basically thinks that he's better than you. That's pretty much his whole story. There will also be an Aegis of Agrama shield that will spawn as kind of an item there on the field, and you can interact with it, you can click on it. So pick it up as soon as it becomes available, and make sure that you can see the button to activate it when the time comes. As you start fighting God King, he will indicate that he's about to cast Ragnarok, which is basically a massive AoE damage, and this is when you press the button and it will summon kinda a frontal shield that your group will huddle behind to avoid that massive damage that God King will do otherwise. Then he will grab the shield, and the whole process sort of repeats, except then he will summon the shield for an unknown reason, because he's the one casting Ragnarok, and you hide under his own shield while he tries to kill you. It's pretty stupid and counterproductive from God King perspective, if you ask me. Once the God King Skovald is down, Odyn will come down to say some unnecessary pompous speech and then fight you as a final test, basically. You talk to him to start the encounter. The only two main things to look out for here are a massive AoE that he will periodically kind of telegraph that you will need to run out of, and then he will also mark the whole group with runes that correspond to the runes on the ground around the room. So if you run quickly to the rune on the ground that matches the rune above your head, you will turn into an ascended Valajar for a short period of time, doing more damage to Odyn. At least I think so. And that's about as tricky as this encounter gets. All in all, Halls of Valor is a fun dungeon that makes all of us veterans of the game who remember Legion expansion very fondly feel very nostalgic. It's a bit long and trash can be annoying and very hard hitting, especially in Fenryr area, but overall it's a pretty good dungeon that is rather high on my list, being let down only by its relative length. I hope that you have enjoyed this little guide and it helps you to take your maybe normal, heroic, maybe Mythic Plus 0 tanking to the next Mythic Plus level. Please like the video so that I know that I'm doing something right and you're enjoying this content, and I will create more guides for you. Subscribe for more. I will talk to you next time.